If you love Disney, you'll like this video. Hi there and welcome to another Mickey's Roundtable adventure where we explore everything Disney, one themed adventure at a time. With the announced closing date of the Rivers of America, July 7th, 2025, I decided I would head to Magic Kingdom and the other parks at Walt Disney World and visit every boat ride at the parks. You're not going to want to miss this Mickey's Roundtable adventure. I was planning on doing this video at some point. We knew that the Rivers of America would be closing at some point, but then on June 3rd, the announcement came. They had an official closing date. July 6, 2025 will be the last day of operation. That's right, 4th of July weekend for the Liberty Square Riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island. So I headed to the parks and decided to undertake this adventure where I would visit every boat ride at Walt Disney World. And of course, the biggest and best boat at Walt Disney World, in my opinion, is the Liberty Bell Riverboat. It's so unique and so classic Disney. I just love every aspect of it. I won't go into it too much in this video. Well, not at this point anyway. If you watch till the very end, I'm going to talk about the closing of the Rivers of America and why the Liberty Bell and Tom Sawyer Island fit so beautifully and so wonderfully in Liberty Square and Frontierland, and why it is such a tragedy, yeah, I'm going to use that word, for them closing these two attractions, especially for what they're replacing it with. But watch my previous videos that I cover the Liberty Square Riverboat, Tom Sawyer Island, and stick around till the end. I am going to talk about it a little bit more while I still have the chance, while it is still operating. And of course, the other attraction there at the Rivers of America is Tom Sawyer Island. Well, that's not a boat ride. You're running around the island. But you do need to take a boat to get to the island. You have to take a raft from Frontierland. It's about a 2-minute trip across the river once you're on board and once you get underway. And then you get to explore, run around. Because you do have to take a raft to get out to the island, it is a boat ride, so I included it in this video. Walt Disney was a fan of Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, and wanted to incorporate those characters, those books, into Disneyland. Now we're talking about Walt Disney World in Florida, not the Disneyland in California, but Walt's fingerprints are all over it. And let me quote here from the Disney Parks blog, April 12th, 2019. Disney parks all over the world still bear many personal marks of Walt Disney himself. And Tom Sawyer Island is perhaps one of the most personal. It was personal. Out in Disneyland in California, he had an Imagineer who was tasked with designing what Tom Sawyer Island would become. He wasn't quite getting it. So Walt Disney himself went and said, here, let me give it a shot. And he went and designed basically what Tom Sawyer Island became. It's changed over the years, but it is the only attraction, the only ride at Disneyland that Walt Disney personally did design himself. And Tom Sawyer Island is very much part of Walt Disney's vision for what his Magic Kingdom should be. And because this video is about boat rides and not just the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, I headed over to one of Walt Disney's other favorite attractions, one of Walt's favorite rides, the Jungle Cruise, the world-famous Jungle Cruise. It is one of my favorites as well. Always a little bit different, depending on what skipper you get and how well they perform, how their sense of humor lines up with your sense of humor. It can be one of the better attractions, better experiences. Now, if you get a dud, yeah, that's one of the downsides, but I didn't on this particular adventure.
About to see the beautiful Inspiration Falls. Now, people often ask me, Skipper John, why do they call it Inspiration Falls? Well, they call it that because if you stare at it for long enough, it's supposed to inspire you to go deeper and deeper to the jungle. Everybody say, the backside of water!
right next door there in Adventureland is another boat ride, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, originally, when Magic Kingdom opened, it did not have a Pirates of the Caribbean. They wanted to build the Western River Expedition. I wish that they would build a Western River Expedition. They're never going to because they've got other ideas. But park opened and there was no Pirates of the Caribbean because apparently the story goes that the Imagineers, the Disney company, says, hey, we're too close to the actual Caribbean. People are not going to be interested in a ride based on pirates. They were wrong, of course, as they often are when it comes to reading what guests want. And so they said, okay, we'll build you a Pirates of the Caribbean. And so this is the ride that we got. I actually like it better than the Disneyland version, slightly, and I'll explain why here. A lot of people like the Disneyland version because it is longer, which can make for a better ride. But for me, the storyline, as I understand it, you go through the cave and there are skeletons and evidence of pirates and the fate that became them. Then you go down that waterfall and you are going back in time into the past and you see the town being bombarded by pirate ships and attacked and so on and so forth. Out at Disneyland, you see all the skeletons and whatnot, and then you go down a waterfall and you still see more skeletons, and so it doesn't quite fit for me with what I understand the story to be. Anyway, this is about Magic Kingdom's version. I do like it, and it is still very much a classic. Another classic, this one over in Fantasyland, It's a Small World. Again, a reproduction of the one that was in Disneyland. The one in Disneyland is actually better than the one in Walt Disney World, but still the same old song, still gets stuck in your head. And it is a classic. It is a iconic ride, and if you've never been on it, you need to try it and see how it is. And and then I headed over to the last water ride there at Magic Kingdom. Not a classic, it replaced a classic, but Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I love Splash Mountain dearly, and it is really sad that they got rid of that, and even more sad that they replaced it with a ride that's not very good. So I was going to ride on it for the sake of the video. It was closed. It was shut down for a maintenance issue, whatever was going on, and so I was not able to get on it. One of many problems that I have with the ride, since I did go on it previously, and because it was broken down, I skipped it this time around. If you watch the beginning of the video, you will note that I said that I visited every boat ride at Walt Disney World, not that I rode on every ride. So yeah, Tiana's Bayou Adventure was not running, so I wasn't even able to ride on it, even if I really, really wanted to. Because I decided to do this particular adventure kind of at the last minute, it was afternoon by the time I headed over to the parks, I was only able to do the water rides, visit the water rides at Magic Kingdom on the first day. The other water rides in the other parks had to wait for another day, and I had to work, and so it was the next week until I finally was able to head over to Epcot and then Animal Kingdom. Epcot first, of course. Epcot has 3 water rides. 2 of them are in the World Showcase, and then one is what was previously Future World. Now it's World Nature. We'll go to World Showcase first, do this in the order that I did them. And both of the World Showcase water rides were previous attractions, previous rides that were rethemed, reskinned, and had IP added to them. The first one in the Mexico Pavilion is the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the 3 Caballeros. Originally, it was a more generic ride about the history of Mexico and Mexican culture, and then they rethemed it and added the characters from the movie 3 Caballeros, Donald Duck, Jose, and Panchito. It's a fun ride. There's no big drops or little drops or anything like that. It's just a slow-moving boat ride. It's kind of like It's a Small World, but only Mexico. It is an indoor attraction, so you don't have to worry about weather, heat, It's air conditioned in there. That being said, it generally has a pretty low wait time. This time when I went, there was like no wait at all. Just walked right in and got on the ride. A lot less popular than the other water ride there at Epcot. Just down the way in the Norway Pavilion is Frozen Ever After. That there always seems to be a long line due to, of course, the fact that Frozen was such a popular movie franchise. I guess they're doing a Frozen 3 now. Give it a rest, will ya? Frozen Ever After, like the Grand Fiesta Tour, was a retheme of a previous attraction geared more towards just here's the story of Norway and Norwegian culture. It was originally the Maelstrom, rethemed to Frozen, and yeah, it is popular, but it is better in another way beyond just being a more popular franchise. I think that has something to do with it, but there's a couple of big drops as well. So you go in, you go through, and there are scenes from Frozen, of course, and the characters and the fantastic songs from that movie. But at one point, your boat turns and you go backwards, down a slope, down a flume, and then when you get to the bottom of that, the boat turns again, and there's a big snow monster, and then you go down another drop. Now, originally, when the attraction was Maelstrom, that's end of the first drop before the second drop, where the boat kind of turns, there was actually a hole in the wall, and the boats kind of went out and looked out over into the Norway Pavilion. That's since been closed off. You can kind of see where it is on the outside there, to the left of the main entrance, above the waterfall. The boats used to come out there. Not anymore. I think that's kind of sad that they lost that. But anyway, fun ride, lot longer lines. But yeah, so those are the two attractions in the World Showcase that are boat rides. There is the boat that goes across the lake there at World Showcase. I didn't consider that a ride. It's transportation, so not including it in this video. So I headed back to the front of the park through Shade and Benches Land. That's what I call the new area behind Spaceship Earth. People must have complained too much about not having enough shade in the parks or not enough benches to sit down, and they said, I know, let's put in benches and shade, and that's all it is. Anyway, I digress. Headed on over to the Land Pavilion and to the attraction, the ride Living with the Land. This was an original ride with the park. It's still going strong. It is classic Epcot. The only thing it's really kind of missing is a live cast member narrating. Originally, they had a cast member on the front of each boat, and they would actually tell you what you were seeing and experiencing. Now it is a recording. Still a good, fun, classic Disney ride, classic Epcot ride. I skipped Hollywood Studios. There are no water rides there at Hollywood Studios. So I did head over then to Animal Kingdom. Two water rides there, boat rides I should say. One is in the Pandora area, Pandora Land. One is in Pandora and the other one in Asia. I headed to Pandora first. I hadn't eaten a whole lot over the course of the day, and I wanted to get something to eat, so I headed on into the quick service restaurant there. That's really good. I'm not a fan of Pandora, the movies, or necessarily the land. It's got its strong points, but in the whole, I'd rather have Beastly Kingdom, but that's just me. But the restaurant there, the quick service restaurant, very good. There are two rides there in Pandora. One is Flight of Passage, the much better ride, and then there's the Navi River Journey. I'm not sure what the attraction is. I mean, I kind of get it, but then at the same time, it's like, really, there's a long wait time for this? It was kind of a long wait. I think it was about an hour, if I remember correctly. And it's this slow-moving boat ride. It's not terribly long. It is cool. You are on an alien world, and there's bioluminescent plants and really good screen effects. Screen effects can be used to great effect, and if they're done right, and they do it very right there. There's one animatronic, I think maybe two. There's one, I think one towards the beginning. It might have been a screen and I didn't realize. But later on in the ride, there is an animatronic. It's apparently one of the most expensive animatronics ever built. It's really cool. I'd rather have Pirates of the Caribbean with lots of animatronics and lots going on, but it is really cool, very impressive, and kind of a neat ride. Good way to get out of the weather, out of the heat, but then again, you know, any indoor attraction would be. But it's a slow-moving boat ride, and you just go by and you look at stuff. How is that any different than the Rivers of America? Slow-moving boat ride, you go by and you look at stuff, except with the Rivers of America, it's real nature. I digress. The other water ride, boat ride at Animal Kingdom there, the last one for this video, was the Cali River Rapids. You will get wet on this ride. Like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you will get wet on that. Cali River Rapids, you will get wet on that as well. It used to have more of a storyline. It was more about conservation and deforestation and things like that way back in the day. Now it's just kind of set up, you're in the environment. Really cool views of Expedition Everest off in the distance there. And not a very long ride, but it is kind of thrilling. There's really only one big drop. I did get wet. I didn't get totally soaked, but I did get fairly wet. Fun ride, especially if it's hot and you want to get cool down a little bit. So that kind of wraps up the water ride portion of the video. I am going to talk about water rides still because I'm going to talk about the Rivers of America here at the end. And that big announcement, July 6th, 4th of July weekend, 2025, will be the last day of operation for the Rivers of America, the Liberty Square Riverboat, the Liberty Bell, and Tom Sawyer Island and those Tom Sawyer Island rafts. In addition to announcing the closing of those attractions, they also released some new concept art and some new details for the Cars area that will be going into the Rivers of America. It will be called Piston Peak National Park. So the idea is that it is a national park within the Cars universe. One of the things in their announcement that they kind of highlighted, that they tout, is that the new Cars Land, yeah, I know it's not called Cars Land, but everyone and their sister will be calling it Cars Land. Nobody's calling it Piston Peak National Park. One of the things they say is it will be the largest expansion in Magic Kingdom history. It's not an expansion. If you remodel a bedroom and turn it into a den or the other way around, you don't get to say, we built an addition onto the house. You're taking one space and you're changing it into another use, into another purpose. It's not an addition. But what about capacity? The capacity will be increased because so few people ride on the riverboat and go out to Tom Sawyer Island. All right, let's talk capacity for a second. I'm just talking about capacity. How many people can physically be on an attraction over the course of an hour? Not how popular it is or what the demand is or anything like that. Every ride vehicle is operating properly. Every ride vehicle is in the ride path that can safely fit on the ride path and operate. Every guest is getting into and out of the rides smoothly and efficiently. The cast members are all dispatching efficiently and safely. What is the maximum capacity? I did a quick internet search and I found an article from the Disney Food blog talking about and going through the 5 highest capacity attractions at each one of the 4 Disney parks here at Walt Disney World. Out of all of Walt Disney World, the top 5 highest capacity attractions are all at Magic Kingdom. The People Mover, Pirates of the Caribbean, which is tied with Haunted Mansion, those both have a capacity of 3,200 people per hour. The Walt Disney World Railroad, and It's a Small World. It's a Small World is tied with Kilimanjaro Safaris over at Animal Kingdom with 3,000. The 5th highest attraction at Magic Kingdom is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The other trend that I noticed on my list here, apart from all of them being at Magic Kingdom, except for the People Mover, they're all in the immediate area around the Rivers of America. Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and the Walt Disney World Railroad are all right next to the Rivers of America. Just across the border in Fantasyland is It's a Small World. Just across the border on the other side there in Adventureland is Pirates of the Caribbean. So surrounding the rivers of America, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 6 highest capacity attractions at Magic Kingdom. Why isn't anybody riding on the riverboat or going out to Tom Sawyer Island? There's so many other really high capacity attractions around them. Of course, the rivers of America must have a low capacity, right? Right? I would beg to differ. So the Tom Sawyer Island rafts, they can fit 55 people per raft, and they can run 4 rafts at a time. And in a course of 10 minutes, you can run all 4 rafts out and back. That's about 1,000 people an hour. You have to stop for a little bit while the riverboat goes by. The Liberty Square riverboat, the Liberty Belle, can hold 450 people per trip, 2 trips an hour, and that's 900 people per hour. That means that a combined capacity of Tom Sawyer Island and the riverboat is 2,000 guests an hour. Now, of course, the Liberty Square riverboat was originally the Liberty Square River boats. There were 2 boats. Here's my Walt Disney World guide from the mid-1970s, and does refer to it as boats because there were 2 boats. There was the Admiral Joe Fowler, and in 1973 they added the Richard F. Irvine, which we know today as the Liberty Belle. So that's running at half capacity, essentially. If you take any of these other attractions and you cut the number of ride vehicles in half, you're cutting the capacity in half. So the Liberty Square riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island, if you've got 2 riverboats, that runs with about 2,900 guests per hour. That's just below It's a Small World at 3,000, and Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is also about 3,000. So you're in the top 5, 6 attractions in all of Walt Disney World at the Rivers of America. I guarantee you that Piston Peak National Park and the 2 attractions that are going to be going in there is not going to have that kind of capacity. It just isn't. So then you come down to theming. Does Cars Piston Peak National Park fit the theme of Frontierland? Well, they say that it does. It's set in the western United States within the Cars universe. Of course, it's not based on the movie Cars or Cars 2 or Cars 3 or any of the short films featuring Mater. It's not even based on the spin-off movie Planes. It's based on the sequel to the spin-off Planes, Planes, Fire and Rescue, where it does feature an area called Piston Peak National Park. So that's the theme of the area. It's the Western United States, but that's about it. It's a basic aesthetic, architecture in the Western United States, and therefore it fits. Okay, that's pretty thin, but that's all you got. With the Rivers of America, it ties together the whole area, both Liberty Square and Frontierland. Another post that I ran across on the social medias, I did not see the original Disney post about this, but it was referencing Disney talking about how Piston Peak National Park, the new Cars area, will not interfere with the aesthetics and the theming of Frontierland. You won't see piston-shaped mountains from Frontierland. You won't be able to hear cars from Liberty Square. That'll all be masked off and it'll be hidden. And isn't that kind of an admission that it doesn't fit the theme? With Liberty Square and Frontierland and the Rivers of America, you're supposed to be able to see everything. You can see everything because it all ties together. It ties together the whole park as well. When you enter Magic Kingdom, you go onto the railroad tracks and you see the sign that says, "Here you leave today and enter a world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy." Each area of the park is balanced by an area of the park on the other side that's the opposite. So on the east side of the park, you have Tomorrowland. It's about the future. And then on the west side, you have Liberty Square and Frontierland representing history, real history, American history.
Frontierland. It is here that we experience the story of our country's past. The color, romance, and drama of frontier America as it developed from wilderness trails to roads, riverboats, railroads, and civilization. A tribute to the faith, courage and ingenuity of our hardy pioneers who blazed the trails and made this progress possible.
And then within Liberty Square and Frontierland, it represents the United States geographically. Liberty Square is on the eastern half of the country, Frontierland is the western half of the country, and right smack dab in the middle is the Mississippi River and the other rivers of America that both connect the country and divide it at the same time. It's also chronologically set up. From Haunted Mansion all the way around the river to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a timeline of American history. Liberty Square, mid-1700s to the mid-1800s. Frontierland from the mid-1800s all the way to 1900. And then right in the middle, Liberty Square Riverboat, Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer Island, smack dab in the middle of American history of that time period in the mid-1800s, 1850s, 1860s. Then on top of all of that, everything is tied together through other thematic elements as well. Multiple ways, through multiple attractions and restaurants, you name it, it's all connected. I'll just run through a few quick examples. You could go on and on and on about all of this, but the Columbia Harbor House restaurant there in Liberty Square. Originally, Magic Kingdom was supposed to have a Rivers of America that featured a steamboat and a sailing ship like out at Disneyland. Out at Disneyland, they have the sailing ship Columbia. The Columbia was the first American flagged vessel to sail around the world. It also did some exploring along the Pacific Northwest coast and up the Columbia River. Well, they decided not to put in the sailing ship Columbia at Magic Kingdom, but themed the restaurant to that instead. So you have Columbia Harbor House tied to the Rivers of America. On the Rivers of America is the Liberty Bell Riverboat. There are two narrators on there, one Captain Horace Bixby and pilot Samuel Clemens, finishing his 100th voyage. Sam Clemens, you might also know as Mark Twain, famous American author from the 19th century. He wrote a book, this book right here called Life on the Mississippi. He chronicled his actually being trained to be a riverboat pilot on the Mississippi River by Horace Bixby, a real guy, a real riverboat pilot. So it ties to American history and American literature. Mark Twain, of course, is known for many other works, many other books, including The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. That's what the island is themed to. It is very much connected to the river, and of course the river and the riverboat are connected to Columbia Harbor House. American literature from the 19th century also included works by Joel Chandler Harris. He wrote down and published stories, folk tales about Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox, the complete tales of Uncle Remus. Later on, that was adapted by Walt Disney into the movie Song of the South, which was then in turn adapted to the ride Splash Mountain. That's no longer there, but that original theme of that attraction tied it to Tom Sawyer Island, tied it to the Rivers of America, Liberty Bell, and Columbia Harbor House. Where else do we have American literature of the 19th century being represented? There in Frontierland, Liberty Square. Pecos Bill's Tall Tale Inn and Cafe. Pecos Bill, another figure, folk hero from the 19th century. There are also references to Paul Bunyan, John Henry, real American folk heroes, real people like Davy Crockett, Buffalo Bill, Calamity Jane, Annie Oakley, Johnny Appleseed, and I could go on and on. And I could go on and on and on about how all of the different attractions and restaurants and theming throughout Liberty Square and Frontierland all tie together, not just the one thing. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. I probably did, and I probably edited out a bunch to make this video shorter and more palatable. But yeah, the Rivers of America really tie together the whole area, which is tied together to the whole park, and putting in a Cars-themed attraction, Cars-adjacent themed attraction right in there really doesn't work, despite the fact that it is in the western United States. You can improve the Rivers of America vastly, and it has the capacity to accommodate thousands of guests every hour. It very much could. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. call it a day. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, maybe you'll see my next video. I did an adventure, still have to edit that one together. I visited every attraction at Walt Disney World, visited and rode on every attraction at Walt Disney World that's actually driven by a cast member. A cast member is on the ride vehicle, actually physically doing things to make it go, make it stop, etc. And so you'll want to stay tuned for that one. That's coming up next, I think it should be. Anyway, until then, until next time, we'll see you real soon.